All right, we are live. All right, we are live, folks. Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast, live post-game reaction after a big win here over the Washington Commanders. I am joined today by Clinton Bonner because he's out in Connecticut because Brandon Schultz, he's with the rest of the little flockers at the stadium. They brought the good juju, the good Hakra, and the Seahawks come away with a dramatic victory with a last-second field goal by Jason Myers. Clinton, how you feeling after that?
Incomplete, but I don't really care, right? So it doesn't matter. Okay. What was complete was that fourth quarter last drive by Geno, a bunch of completions. Myers nails it. I'm texting with some boys up here that are Patriots fans. They're like, good game. I was like, They're like, hey dude, we're 2-8. So, and I got friends who are Packers fans. Like, yeah, Jordan Love is absolute cheeks. He's like, you guys have a legit shot still. So we'll talk about all that, but feeling good, man. I never feel bad after a win, ever. Never going to poo-poo a win. Never going to look down at a W in the NFL. It is hard to get, Adam. This is a team that took the Eagles to overtime, a team that took the Eagles to the ropes in like Rocky 1, Rocky 2 style. And then, I thought it was my prediction in What If was a 27-24 game. So I expected a stupid nail biter. And guess what, Adam? We got a stupid freaking nail biter.
We did get a stupid nail biter. This team refuses to play complementary football throughout.
Oh, yeah. No.
The first half, the offense struggled in the red zone. In between the 20s, they were fine. Struggled on fourth down, shot themselves in the foot with a false start, and then or delay, and then a false start. The delay, that's on Geno. I'm a little more frustrated with Geno after this game than I was against Baltimore. So I don't know, man. It was a win, but a frustrating one for me as a Seahawks fan. And I'm used to the nail biters, obviously. We all have the heart attack games and that sort of thing. But I don't know, man. I see this team right now, and this is a very average football team because they lack consistency on both sides of the ball. The second half, the offense starts to get it going a little bit, and then all of a sudden the defense falls apart.
Yeah, you nailed it, dude. You absolutely framed it up perfectly. Non-complimentary football. And it's not just like, oh, hey, in a couple of weeks, like the offense was firing and then oh, the defense was firing. This was intra-game madness. This was like, within a quarter, it was like one part would just evaporate, another part would get good and just seesaw. And that was so bizarre. From most of the game, I don't think the Commanders had wide receivers on the field. They surely didn't exist in the stat sheet. Jahan Dotson, Scary Terry, barely nothing. And then all of a sudden, the fourth quarter comes rolling around with like 8 minutes to go, and it's freaking De'Ami Brown, getting open. But it was, you nailed it, dude. That was a perfect frame up. Non-complimentary football. We can see all the elements. They're still not cohesive. They are scattered. It's still a weird thing. With all that, we're 6-3 and we're still tied for first atop the division. So it's like, all right, we got a half of a season to still figure that out and put it all together. It's just becoming like, are we going to? At any point, are we going to put it all together? But I do see on the screen there someone who puts it together every single time. Adam, what do we got?
Riding with the $9.99 donation for my roof in honor of the win. Roof has been disassembled today. It's all ready to go for tomorrow. I am glad I stayed behind. It was necessary to get that done, but miss being with all you guys there at the stadium for sure. Also, Jay Smith coming in with a $5 donation. Is Waldron a better strategist than tactician? That is, can he game plan, but then have trouble executing the game plan? Does that ring true to you, Clint?
I think what I get from Waldron is that he sometimes stalls out. Sometimes like he gets a little, for me, a little fixated. It's, what it is? Here we go. Let me take that again. With Waldron, I don't get enough sense that he's got the gut instinct to know, like, that's the dude in the moment. Ride that guy, ride that style. It's like, it's always like kind of like back to the playbook and back to the, whether it's analytics or not, it's kind of like back to, oh, I had this thought in mind. Well, guess what, Shane? Sometimes those thoughts, they got to go out the window because you're blowing dudes off the line in a certain series and just keep running the friggin' ball. And if you get to 3rd and 3, well, guess what? Run the freaking ball on 3rd and 3. And if you get to 4th and 1, well, guess what? Run the freaking ball on 4th and 1. Go watch the Detroit Lions run the ball on 4th and 5, 4th and 2, 4th and 1. And then taking the game from the Chargers. I'm not saying go bananas like Dan Campbell and you got to go for it on every 4th down. Not what I'm saying. But to answer the question, I feel like he doesn't have that gut instinct of who's hot when. And that part, 2.5 years in, I'm like, I don't know if he's ever going to have it. What do you think?
It does feel a little like he gets fixated on shiny toys, right? Like, ooh, I'm gonna get JSN some touches now, and ooh, now it's time to get to DK, and ooh, like let's get K9 a touch, and then let's get Charbonnet in there for 2 series or whatever it is. But I think the thing that he gets fixated on the most, that, or maybe it's the opposite, he actually just has amnesia about, is the run game. Now, Ken Walker, he got his 17 attempts. Charbonnet, he ran the ball a few times and looked nice, but they look so good doing it. So when you say run the ball on 4th and 1, I'm in total agreement there. The thing is that this is not a consistent running team, not because they can't do it. It's because they won't do it.
Right. Yeah.
And that is utterly frustrating to me, especially in a first half where Geno seemed to lock onto a dude. And then if it wasn't there, he would just sit and hold the ball, and take sacks.
Yeah.
Like that sequence at the end of the second or the first half there, second quarter.
Yeah.
Where,
yep.
Yeah. Where he scrambles out, doesn't get rid of the ball for some dumb reason, and then knocks you out of field goal range. That's inexcusable, man. I'm more mad about that than anything he did in Baltimore the week before. How about missing Sharps on a 3rd down, like out of the backfield? That was a easy peasy one. He missed a few today. This was a tougher game for Geno, I think, than maybe some of the losses.
I agree. I think so too, especially that first half. Like that second quarter, we actually played pretty darn well until it, we kind of grind our own gears at the end there. But the first half, Geno was he just is what it is. He's just off. We got people in the Discord and some people calling it out and some people saying, well, we want to stay positive. I get both sides. We're in the Discord. We're trying to have fun. And I get all that. And also like being honest about a quarterback's play, that's how I was feeling too. And I was just reserving it because I'm like, all right, I think it's games are typically longer than they seem, even an NFL game, unless a game gets away from you, like last week, a game gets away from you. Well, sayonara, good luck. But games have more motions and chapters than kind of meets the eye typically. Perfect example today. So I was happy that I kind of like curbed it a little bit and waited to say, okay, well, can he get the retribution? Can he get the arc? But then the other side of it, Adam, is he played a good 4th quarter, man. Like then he caught fire. He played good. A couple of drives when they absolutely needed it. They get the De'Ami Brown touchdown. The Commanders do to tie the game up. He gets the ball back and he just go, right back down the field again. Beautiful throws to DK, and he got it done, right? So he got yet another chip for Geno. So it is, man, we talk about 3 in, 3 out. We talk about the sober yin, raging yang. That's the thing. That's the emblem. That's kind of Geno this year. He's a bit of sober yin, raging yang, man.
Yeah. So shout out to Sam here. He had the $12 super chat here as well, saying that Geno and DK are keepers and Geno is a winner. Geno is a winner, and he does look like Pete Carroll's quarterback, right? Like maybe muddle around for a few quarters, even a half, that sort of thing. But when it comes to winning time, that's when it needs to get done. And give Geno all the credit for that, because he did. He came through in the end. Those couple throws there to DK were absolute darts, just dots, just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it, especially when the defense somehow loses its way after being completely stifling for the majority of the game. That was frustrating. Short of that first touchdown to Robinson, where Jamal Adams just whiffs on the sack. Like, that should have been dead to rights. That shouldn't have ever gone for a touchdown. Boy, the defense locked down, short of covering running backs a little later on in the game even.
Yeah, I mean, running back swingy thingies right to the sideline, just the oh crap outlet passes to running backs, and a little bit of stuff to like Logan Thomas, just like the outlet leaky stuff. All right, yeah, but in a let's say the Seahawks did not have that 4th quarter that we did have, right? We give up 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, up with the ball twice. No bueno, not okay. We did, so it is what it is. And then Geno came back, and the Seahawks bailed the defense out at the end, which was ironic, or a strong coincidence, whichever one it is. Like you said, non-complimentary. But it is extremely. Let's put it this way: if we didn't have that fourth quarter from a defensive standpoint, I think we'd be on right now. Be like, holy crap, this team put up 30 something versus the Eagles, 30 something again. Like, what a good job locking them, meaning the Commanders. What a good job by our Seahawks to lock down what is a really good wide receiving core. But even that De'Ami Brown one, it's a bit of a floater over the middle, over two dudes, and kind of backyardy, also a little backyardy. The thing is, you just can't allow 2 fourth quarter touchdown drives when you bottled it up all game long, and then you allow 2 at home when you're up 2 times. That's the part that's, you got to get it cleaned up. But then again, we flip it, we get the W at him. So we're 6-3. So it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
There was a good discussion in the Discord. And so folks like, this is not a Super Bowl team. And that might be very, very right. Like currently right now, this team ain't win the Super Bowl right now. However, just like a game could have lots of nuances and lots of chapters, so can a season. You don't win or lose a Super Bowl in middle of November. You just don't. You put yourself in some position, try to stay healthy, and you get hot. And those are the teams that can make a run. Could this team make a run? Yeah, we could. Could this team showing up today make a run? No, we're probably out. This is like an out. Maybe we win a first rounder, we're out second round, we get destroyed second round type team today. But we're not. Today ain't the Super Bowl. So I still have a lot of hope that we can just keep maturing as this year goes on, man. Ooh, hey, I lost you. You okay? I don't have you. Let's see.
Hold on. There we go. That's a
Now
little better, right? I was trying to save you all from a little Ollie barking out there. There is something out there. I think it's a couple deer, and he is losing his crap. So if you hear some Ollie dog, nothing I can do about it. He's out there doing his job. So let's get to Kimchi here for a second. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat, man. Doesn't matter if you win by inches or miles. Winning is winning. Look, man, yes, that is true. And you have to be able to pull these types out against a lesser team at home, even if you're not playing your best football. And the Seahawks managed to do that. We get to 6-3, stack another win, and right the ship after a bad loss in Baltimore. Now, with that said, man, I think the offense is something that we are going to be talking about a lot this week, because it's been kind of stuck in neutral. And, Jay's got the comment here that he believes that the problems are more on Waldron than the players. And it definitely feels that way to me. I feel like there's all the talent in the world here. And I see so many times on 3rd and shorts, 3rd and mediums, we're running more kill shots than we are giving Geno a lot of underneath options. And I understand doing that on a few of those 3rd and mediums, 3rd and shorts, break tendency, and sometimes you get them, right? All that stuff. But gosh darn it, man. Like, I am tired of seeing Geno have to throw basically a fade to the sideline to DK on a 3rd and medium, 3rd and short, over and over and over again, where it's a contested catch. And honestly, he hasn't been great with the contested catches this year in those situations.
No, well, I mean, if we're talking DK, it's not really his game either. I mean, besides the fact that he's a giant human and has a size, he's not really a contested catch guy. He doesn't particularly, get to the apex of the ball as well as some other dudes anyway. Now, DJ had a good game too. I will say, it, like, the whole thing, like it all swapped, like we talked about. It all did swap out. I do think we did adjust. I actually think Waldron did adjust second half. The middle of the field opened up more, and it was less of those 3rd and 4 floaters. Because again, in the Discord, people are like, "What is this? Is this Russ football? Is this 3rd and 3? Huck it deep, way outside the numbers?" And it was feeling like that for a while again. But then it kind of loosened back up. And then Lockett had a gritty game. JSN had a couple of nice things there. Fant finally gets one late. A-okay. And then DK really, but Adam, here's the thing. DK, where did he actually make his hay? Was it outside, or was it somewhere else that DK actually ate?
Yeah, it was definitely over the middle. And those things are what we need to be doing a lot more of. I mean, we tend to rely too much on the outside of the numbers throws, and I know that's a strength of Geno's, but he also is good in between the numbers. And
Yes.
I feel like we go away from that a little bit too much. It's either something short or long. The medium passing game has kind of died out this year, where that seemed to be Geno's bread and butter a little bit last year. I definitely think that Geno is as good as Wilson, at least at this point. This was definitely a very Wilson game. I want to go back to Derek Chan's comment here
Please.
in regarding to Sharps and being a little more consistent than maybe K9 and maybe K9 getting some more pressure. I think really what that was is you saw a lot more Charbonnet towards the end of the game, and the whole you wear him down with the run game thing and things start to open up. All the analytics people will tell you that's nonsense. It's not nonsense. It's how
Yeah,
football
right.
works. And
Exactly.
so you bring in the hammer towards the end of the game. And so he was able to be a little more consistent there, I thought.
Yeah, and one piece on that too. The averages are what they are. So you could just go look at the yards per carry and say, oh, Charbonnet was this and Walker wasn't quite that. All things, whatever, they're averages. That's a stat. YPC is a true thing. And with that, Charbonnet also had like some really good blocking, really
Oh,
good,
man.
like a couple times like seal blocks and just different pulls, pull and pin type stuff. And there were some holes for Charbonnet that Walker didn't quite have the same, the same spreading of the Red Sea, which, hey, but that's not Sharp's fault at all. They're on the same team. He took advantage of it. He is more north and south and more decisive at the line. With that, you give K9 that same blocking and he actually might bust one for 30, 40, 50 yards because they're just different. They're different dudes. They're both good running backs. We have two good ones. To your point earlier, we still should commit to running the ball more. We should still commit to running the football more. We still had problems on third down, and it probably because we're going outside the numbers and we're trying low percentage plays, and it can burn you. Versus, again, I'm telling you, man, I'm watching more and more teams kind of led by the Lions running on third and short because they know we're going for it on fourth down. They're like, whatever. They're like, it's cool. You got the tush push. That's one thing. That's a very, very thingy thing that probably gets out of football by rule or by somebody figures it out sooner than later. Wildcatty in that way, or never. If it never gets figured out, they'll probably just eliminate it and say you can't push a dude from behind anymore. Otherwise, it's boring and it's rugby.
It's awesome, and it should never be eliminated.
I think the tush push should be like an illegal play automatically. I just don't think it's a worthy NFL play. I think you're just pushing a dude from behind, which I thought for a while.
I mean, if it's that easy though, dude, if it's that easy, how come everybody's not the Eagles good at it?
Well, they were first, first movers,
Okay, I'm just saying, it's just not as
teams in.
It's not as automatic for all the other teams. I'm fine with that, but
not at all, not at all. It's just a matter of I don't know. Go ahead, you go.
Yeah, well, let's get to Nate's comment here. The tackling, man. 2 weeks in a row now with some rough tackling, especially late in the game. That's where they really were able to move the ball and score those late 2 touchdowns. Is the Seahawks really had a difficult time wrapping up and tackling?
Well, I thought Woolen had a tough job early in the game. He wasn't tackling very well. He had a chance at a tight end, did not tackle. Jamal whiffed. Jamal does like the Tecmo Bowl, like 1988 Tecmo Bowl, Nintendo style thing where he just like dives diagonally, and either it's like a glorious hit and he's got the guy, but he also misses. He does miss. And then also I felt like Jordan Brooks, and I think Brooks is having a great year. I mean, does not get any sort of cred when it's like, oh, comeback player of the year. He actually, in my opinion, he will never win it. He's tucked away in the PNW. He should be up for an award like that. Yeah, after tearing his knee, coming back, he's having a really solid year. But he had a stretch in this game where maybe, I don't know. I saw Karkar put in the thread saying, I saw no injuries. I said, yeah, I don't think there were any injuries. I saw Jordan Brooks making a couple of decisions that made me at least feel like he was at least nicked up, because he was just like putting light shoulders into dudes and not really rapping. That's just not his game. So that means to me, something probably happened inter-game with him. And we'll probably find out in a day or two that like, yeah, he got dinged pretty good actually. Cause it's not like him just to try and shoulder a guy. That's not how he ever plays. So that was weird for me.
Yeah, and the tackling has seemed to come and go throughout the season, and I do feel like that is something that Pete Carroll can get figured out. That is something that he is good at teaching, and I think they will get that cleaned up at some point. Ryan had made the comment, we scored 29 points. I mean, when are we going to say that's good? And it's like, well, geez, Louise, they left so much on the field, especially in the first half. I mean, not being able to convert on those fourth downs, being terrible on third down overall throughout the game, and then being able to put it together here late. They should have put up a lot more against really what is a bad Commanders defense. And I think that's maybe where a little bit of my disappointment is that this was a get right game for sure. You needed this. And I really thought the offense would be able to move the ball with a little bit more consistency, and they didn't. Now, does that mean that they can't continue to keep it going? I mean, the Commanders, like you said, they have played some people tough. They played the Eagles tough a couple times and all that. So, maybe they're not as bad as we seem to think, but I just don't think that that's a great football team. And
Right.
so at home in that environment, coming off the loss that you just had, I expected a little bit more early and get them down early. And honestly, the offense struggled throughout the first half, but it is interesting to see the inconsistency in the offense, I guess. I think that's really what is bothering me the most.
I forget what other Seahawks pod it was. I listened to several. Somebody had kind of described the offense as like 4 or 5 non-congruent silos that just are not homogenous. They don't act as one. It's like if one chamber is not working, sometimes they try the next chamber and that might work for a little bit, but it's not like this orchestration and this flowing thought. And then because of that, we end up with like the 5-yard penalty. We didn't have too many holdings, but we'll get the false start. We'll whatever it might be, a hold. And then we are just stuck in neutral. And it's like, why? What is happening? Now, this game for me, Adam, between like our 40 and the Commanders 40, we had some struggles. That was we were getting, it was like we were hitting a desert, or worse than a desert, like what we were all afraid of as kids in the 80s and 90s, quicksand. Like it was just like quicksand in the middle of the field. Like, what is happening? Why are we stalling so badly? And that's where I was so desperately wanting more attempts over the middle and also more running the ball, and more play action. It's like, heck, when we did play action, there were some beautiful spins by Geno. Beautiful. There was one, that little loft that he put over to Tyler Lockett that got over the linebacker. That was a play action. The K9 held the linebacker for that extra half a second. Well, guess what? That's exactly the purpose of freaking play action, right? Just to get that little bit of padding, and he gets that touch over to Lockett for about 20 yards downfield. We are very good at play action. Just more of that stuff. And one last thing too is, I do think the league has caught up with, it seems like it's been weeks now since we've had a boot that's been open to a tight end. That play was so money last year and was again money again the beginning of this year. Seems like the last couple of weeks, they know when we're calling it, they sniff it out, and they are just, dude, we have layers of like Fant and Parkinson or Fant and Fant and Disley, and they're both just smothered. It's not there. And Geno's got to ground it or try to force something. So it's, I think we need one more reinvention before we hit this last part of the season here.
For sure. And I think it all starts and ends with the running game and really leaning heavily into that. And you're right, man. There are times when this offense looks really, really good. And you see all of this talent that is on this offense come to fruition. And you're like, geez, man, like we can actually do this. Like this can be an offense that, puts up 30 points consistently. And I think that's probably where a little bit of my frustration lied in this game here with the offense as a whole. But defensively, though, for the most part, they smothered things. They got pressure on Sam Howell. I was expecting more sacks, honestly, this game, with their offensive line struggling to protect the quarterback throughout the year and as many sacks as they've given up.
Well, I did hear this week, like I think it was about 2 weeks ago now, that the Commanders changed centers, and I think they changed centers before the Eagles game. So the Eagles game, they had no sacks, I believe, and then the next game, the Patriots, I think they had 3 sacks, something like that, right? So they had really, not to say they've reversed it because that's a little too aggressive, but they certainly mitigated what was a runaway train to like to that record they were about to go set, a record you don't want with the most sacks ever. And, you know, you've talked about centers for years now. So I don't know who the dude is. I'm not going to, you know, get on a soapbox and talk about him as a center. I just know they made a change at center. And I do know what the impact of that can be, especially if the dude is simply better at calling out and seeing, you know, being the quarterback's first eyes and seeing what's up and setting the line the right way. That could be it. This is now 3 games with this new center, and they've just had just better sack numbers. You know, it's probably at least a factor.
Yeah, I think that anytime you have good center play, it helps out the offensive line a ton. There's
hell yeah. Oh, all right. Adam's gone a little bit. Max headroom on me here. I think it probably has for you as well. So we'll let him catch up. And I just, you know, and we look back at man, just some of the stats as Adam catches up. Geno threw the ball 47 times, 369 yards. He gets the 2 touchdowns. Sorry, Adam, you had gone off there for a bit. So I was just going on. And then, you know, hey, we had a nice day by both backs. It was good to see, you know, Walker ends up with 63, Charbonnet with 44. So they total 107 yards. Nicely done there. But also, if you think about our big dogs, DK, 7 receptions, 98 yards. Tyler, 8 receptions, 92 yards, and the touchdown. So, you know, it's like all is not lost with this game. It's just the fits and starts, you know, it's the starts and stops. And it's the we're just between second and third gear. We're not fully hitting it. And I think we all feel like we've got something special here. And I don't think we know exactly what unlocks this just yet, but I'm confident we can. I just, you know, I'm just realizing that, hey man, we only got half the season left. And in one way, I'm like, it's a lot of time, Adam. But in some way, I'm like, man, shouldn't we figure this out 2.5 years into the Waldron experience? Shouldn't we know how to be more smooth at this point?
You certainly would think so. Yeah, it is maddening to see the lack of cohesion. Like they were doing a lot of cool motion and stuff in the backfield early on, and then that kind of went away later in the game. But then again, I guess the offense got better later in the game, so who knows there. But you know, I do want to address a couple comments here. Like let's go back to Bobby here. Bobby Cat, well, we suck, we got the win, but we suck. So this is one of the things that is super frustrating to me, just as a culture, as Americans and as fans, is that everything is the best day ever or the worst day ever. It's nothing we don't suck. We're just an average football team right now. Like, and they got the win, and you need that. And there is room to improve and become a great football team. I definitely think that that's the case. And I think Mitch here is suffering from a little bit this too. I mean, yes, I can defend Geno. I will defend Geno, and you can't tell me what to do, Mitch. Nice try. But at the end of the day, he makes more game-winning plays than he makes losing plays. Now, are there too many like just head scratchers like that play at the end of the first half? Yes, we need to clean that up. So it's a fine line of finding the balance of being like, dude, protect the ball, be cool, like don't turn it over, and also let it rip. And right now it seems like Geno's kind of stuck in no man's land there mentally with the processing. And I think that's what's leading to actually more mistakes rather than just being like, screw it, dude, we live and die by you, go after it. I think he'd play a lot better that way. And I think that's an important thing that we need to address.
So let me go to some numbers just to like crystallize this a bit further, right? So he was 31 of 47 for a ton of yards, 369 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay. No turnovers, right? So no interceptions for the first time in a while. So good there. The thing that I think we're all in, if I had to like encapsulate where are we all getting hung up on Geno, besides, you know, a play or two here or there, like you said, the end of the first half, like absolutely totally there. The thing is, when you start to say, okay, so what is 31 out of 47? Okay, it's basically 66%. Okay, so you start to think, okay, well, what is it like if he gets to 69%, where he was last year, 70%? And all of a sudden, that's 35 of 47. You know, he makes 3 or 4 more. And that delta. It doesn't sound big inside like, oh, 3 or 4 more completions, but it's not just that. It's the matriculation of 2 to 3 to maybe 4 more first downs. And then what the heck happens after there? Because we're on the field a lot longer. And then Geno throwing the ball 47 times, that actually probably comes down to something like 42, 44, because of getting first downs. And then guess what? It's canine time and it's Sharp's time. It's that little delta of like misfires right now that you can't defend it. He was better last year. The stats show it. So like that's what it is. He was better last year. He was more accurate last year. Can he fix it? I think he can. What fixes that, Adam? I have no freaking clue. No idea.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of taking the fear out of his game. Barry, he's been with us forever. He says he, has a hard time watching the play develop and then adjusting. And I'm not sure that I totally agree with that, even after going back and watching the all 22. I think one of the things in Waldron's offense that is a little perplexing to me is that the timing of Geno's feet don't match up with who's getting open at what time. And what I mean by that is at the end of his third step or his fifth step on the drop, and he goes to his first dude, sometimes he's the third breaking receiver open, right? And I don't know if that's Geno going to the wrong guy through the progression or the way that Waldron coaches it. But if you go back and you listen to Bill Walsh talk about quarterback play and how you really are effective, it's being able to time things out using your feet and playing in rhythm. And I think that's maybe where a little of that problem is. But I did want to say, guys, we're about 30 minutes in here. If you enjoy this kind of stuff and we've earned the subscription and the like, please do that. It helps us out a lot. And yes, I just said doo-doo. That should deserve a like right there. But man, even with all the complaining that I've got right now, it's a win, man. And I'm fired up. We're 6-3. We're still only a half game back of the 49ers. We got them coming up twice. The Eagles and the Cowboys. People have been commenting about that here in the comments upcoming. How do you like these odds going forward, coming out and being, I kind of feel like if they get to 8 wins, then, we got a really good shot to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's just I think it's just a go win next week. Like this now it's a team with the Rams that have always had our number. In the Carroll McVay era, McVay has beaten the brakes off of Carroll. He has. So do they get back Stafford? If they do, how healthy is he? Does it matter? We've seen Goff with a bad thumb torch us. So does it actually matter? We'll see. This game was a game to not take for granted. A game against the Rams on the road, a game to not at all. Cannot take it for granted. So need to get to 7-3. One thing you said was that that we're a half game back of the Niners, but they're same record, right? 6-3, 6-3, or they right? Because they had a bye as well, correct?
Oh, right. Yeah. No, it takes care of the half game stuff. You're right. Thank you for fixing my math because I'm bad at the math. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah. They breaking the beating the pads off somebody. They steamrolled the Jags. So it looks very much like they're back. And hey, I didn't expect them to go away for too long. To me, it wasn't like, okay, they lost 3 in a row, so the wheels are going to fly off. It was a possibility, but I never thought it was a strong possibility whatsoever. There's one more topic I'd love to bring up with you, Adam. I know we still got stuff scrolling on the screen, and we love it.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm missing Brandon dealing with the comments. I have such a hard time keeping trains of thought and reading the comments at the same time. But keep commenting, guys. It's good for the algo and all that. We like hearing from you. But I'm not as smooth as Brandon. News alert.
Yeah, that's neither am I. And that's that. Hey, once again, facts are facts. We'll just live up to that one. But Brandon can have his day. Brandon can be out there doing the work with the flock out there and hanging out the bootleg football folks with EJ as well and having some fun out there. One thing for me that I think is back to the defensive side. I will say it this way. I knew we would miss Nwosu because he's so darn stable and so good. And I didn't realize just how much we'd miss Nwosu. And I knew it would be a lot. And I feel like it's actually even more. It's like it has like outgrown what I expected when I was like, all right, we got Derek Hall. And I certainly was a little higher on bringing back Frank Clark than you were, which, by the way, people torched you. And you said, we'll see. He's kind of just a guy at this point. And people were torching you. And you know what? And not that you're taking the victory lap on that, but people should be like, you know what? You were right. He's not playing especially well right now. Derek Hall, okay, we want some more time. Taylor is still who he is as a run defender. And Mafe is darn good. Like we are missing Nwosu. And I wonder, what do we do to still try and patch this together as we hit the second half of the season now?
It's interesting. I don't feel that loss of Nwosu the same way that you do.
Well, how about our run defense? Like
I mean,
our run, like it's that to me, that's right there. Like Frank Clark he got
having Nwosu on the field makes it so that guys wrap up and tackle better. Because that's the problem with the run defense is just, it's simply tackling. Guys are in their fits.
I don't think that's right. So there was, I think that's part of it. And no, Nwosu being on the field doesn't make them tackle better. Nwosu on the field is a second guy playing the edge the way it's meant to be played against the run, and being just as sound and just as good, maybe even better, maybe just as good as Mafe as the edge pieces, like two rooks on the chessboard. Incredibly important pieces. And we're missing that. And I think as Brian Robinson got to get going on the ground, that was that drive. We go up 7, we kick the ball off, and all of a sudden they run the ball for like 14 yards, like 12 yards, back-to-back plays. Meanwhile, all day long, they could not sniff the run. Now they go left side away from Mafe and boom, boom, back-to-back plays. That does not happen when Nwosu on the field. Just doesn't.
Oh, I'm not saying that we're a better team without him out there on the field. No doubt about it. Like, it's been a loss for sure. But with the amount of talent that they have up front, especially with Leo coming in, Leonard Williams shut out. First sack as a Seahawk. That was awesome.
Oh, that was a big sack. Yeah, he played well.
That was super cool. I'm with Jorge here. I definitely think Clark will be better, but I think it will be when it comes to playoff time. He is Frankie playoff, people. That's where he makes his money. He has been a sack machine when it comes to the playoffs. So I just don't know how much more you're going to get from him in the regular season. He seems to kind of save it, which is fine. If we get there and he makes 2 big game changing plays, I'll be all about it. No doubt about it. And I think that will help offset some of the Nwosu stuff that you were talking about.
Yeah, it will. Well, you know what? We get to cruise in the Monday with a W. So look, this is one of those games that if the Commanders find a way to win, God forbid what if Geno threw a pick, right? If Geno tries to go out with 52 seconds, throws a pick, and the Commanders walk, and Joey Sly puts it through, it would be a disaster. But that's the NFL. That's how close. That's how close the NFL is. And I think, in general, I think folks just lose sight that these teams, the level of athleticism, the level of coaching, the level of prep, the margins are so razor thin. Commanders team that's 4-5, now 4-6, but again, who went toe-to-toe with the Eagles 2 times, gave them everything they could handle, everything. The margin of victory or loss is so slim. And we get to go into Monday with a W. We get to go into Monday tied for first place at 6-3. We get to go into Monday to go look at a Rams team that is a shell of what they were week 1, at least, emotionally, right? So I remain very, very bullish about where this can go. And if we rewind it back 18 months ago, when it was like, we're supposed to be 4-13.
Yeah.
Well, we're not.
No.
We're reloaded. We're in position now to go to the playoffs. And if you get to the playoffs and get healthy and stay healthy, well, then you can make a run. So I'm feeling like we're where we're supposed to be right now. Now it's like we got to get under the hood. Now we got to tinker.
Hey, look, again, ugly wins are still wins, and it's what puts you in position to get hot and have a run late. And the Seahawks are definitely in that position with the Rams coming up. Car, she had a $1.99 super chat there talking about that. Want to tell Mitch, thank you very much for becoming a member. I wasn't trying to pick on you earlier or nothing. And also the Bobby Cat as well. Yeah. Appreciate you guys a ton. This team is in position to make that run, and we're going to know a lot more after this next 5 weeks, man. Yeah. Like, it's going to tell us everything that we really need to know. And there is a pathway for this team to get better. It's not like you're watching guys play about as well as they can. Like, for example, Sam Howell's playing about as well as he can at this point, and they're still just a middling team at best. And man, we have a team here with the type of talent that can really go out there and just put the fear of God into the NFL. I have no doubts about that. And especially with this defense playing as well as it has for the last 5 or 6 weeks, man, I'm fired up for the future. I really am.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty darn good place to be. And I'll go back to a point I made earlier before we close it out about that margin being so small. If Geno gets from 65 to 66% and gets to 69, 70, if he gets back to that Geno, again, 3 to 4 passes a game, this team will be in that next gear. That's it. Like
I
that.
would counter.
That's the
I would
margin.
counter to that. I'm fine with Geno being about where he is, short of just letting it rip a little bit more. Or what was it that Sanchez kept saying throughout the game? Was it let it rip or let it fly? Like,
Yeah, throw the damn ball, basically.
yeah. He had the
Basically
same
get rid
phrase
of it.
used
Yeah.
over and over again, but he
Yeah,
needs
yeah.
to do that. But really, to me, it's less about that completion percentage for the offense to get on track. I want to see a combined K9 Sharps carries of like 25 a game. If we're in that area,
right. But that's my point, though. My point is that those things are not they affect each other. I think if Geno gets to that 69, 70, we're getting those first downs, and then we get those runs, man. I think it all goes, and it could go both ways. They feed each other, right? So it's definitely symbiotic. But it is a system. That's the point. Either way we slice it, there is a little bit of nuance on the edges there where this team could get out of the third gear. Because that's kind of feels, 29 points in the NFL. All right, somewhere in like third gear in a rainy day. All right, somewhere in third gear. Fourth gear, fifth gear, 34 points. You're putting some 40 burgers up, the occasional 50 burger. Yeah, that's where we can get to. But hey, but you know me, Adam. That's what I want too, man. I want to dominate teams in the fourth quarter by jelling the ball down their throats. So however we get to that, I'll be celebrating that. And I very much hope we can start doing that against the stupid Rams and the Ram fan next week.
Hell yeah, man. And I'm looking forward to the Seahawks dropping the hammer into fifth gear, Clinton, hitting overdrive, and really finding their stride here against the Rams. Go to 7-3. Hopefully the Niners will come back to earth here after their win today. I guess good for them. Screw them anyways.
Whatever. Yeah.
And, when I said screw the Niners, I think that's a great place to end. So with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.